beginning map here, we actually have Ilios to start. Because it is the start of week 4, the past 3 weeks were Lijiang Tower. So it will be a nice change to see Ilios. I'm always seeing Lijiang Tower, honestly. Don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
love it, but I can't see it all the time.
Fair enough, fair enough. And we do like a change of, a change of pace. I feel like the map really does dictate what type of compositions these teams like to go for. Ilios having a lot of airspace. Wouldn't be surprised to see like a Pharah Mercy type of combination for the DPSs, or maybe
Yeah.
they just run in really fast and try to capture the points.
Well, I would say Rush. Rush is the hardest to play on this map, honestly, just because of the open space. So I expect to see more dive, maybe a bit of bunker, maybe. But
Okay.
that's more towards the lighthouse.
Absolutely right. And I believe the teams, they are pretty much ready for us to get into game. This is going to be, if I recall, a first to three. So what are you looking for in terms of not necessarily the adaptations game to game, but like what strategies are you looking out for? I know we only really know map one, which is Ilios, but what do you hope to see coming into this series?
Well, what we can tell real quick from how a team plays is if they have the ability to choose a map, they'll try to pick it towards their strength. So if they
Mm,
are prominent with dive, they'll probably go with like Gibraltar, like a map like Gibraltar, or even I'm losing the name, or even Temple of Anubis, where they can utilize
mhm.
high ground and low ground.
Absolutely right. Well, I mean, I personally, you're the Overwatch expert here. I'm really just let's just say caster fodder for this series. But I mean, I'm pretty excited as well. I don't have too much exposure as much as you do perhaps, but I have a little bit of interest of my own. I'm hoping to see, I don't know, maybe some more DPS shakeup. I feel like the DPS meta is pretty commonplace. You have your compositions, double bubble, rush to the head, not very good. But we'll see. But we are heading into the map with a beautiful aerial view of the entire stage so far.
Yep, it takes place actually in Greece.
Oh yeah,
It's a
beautiful
nice
marble
one,
pillars.
indeed. Now we see on the side of Hocking here, the Hawks have opted to go with a double shield comp, while Navarro Bulldogs have gone for Rush.
Absolutely right, and right off the bat, you can kind of see Junkrat taking a little bit of that high ground, trying to get that AoE as much as he possibly can into that middle area, but both Reinhardt's facing off here in that central area, or not Reinhardt, I should say, the Orisa putting up the shield.
Oh, thanks. We do see Seismic over here. He first got the initial pick, got a second. Robot also getting the pick on the Lucio, but from the looks of it, double shield is working here. I'm a little surprised they were able to turn the capture of the point here.
Yeah, Navarro losing a lot of people really quickly, and getting initial grab of that point very very important, because now all you have to really do is play spoiler and make sure that Navarro don't get onto the site as much as possible, but they are going to the right side engage.
But they are the biggest thing that Bulldogs need to do here is stick together and push these tanks. If they stay too much in one spot, they will get spammed out by this Junkrat. Just like Lucio did. Froggy goes down. It's a T-bone.
Yeah, probably trying to use that, that other side of the map. It is possible to boot people out, but that Riptire, ooh, actually does eliminate a lot of the turrets, as well as Brandon on that Symmetra. So now another man advantage, but Hawking immediately losing half of their team afterwards, both healers down, and suddenly it's looking really dangerous. Deadeye trying to find anybody out, does find one, but it is the tank. Still both DPS available for Navarro. Hawking now with staggering death timers.
Well, it's good they were able to cap it. However, I would say they seemed a bit all over the place. Their Sim was staying back when she didn't push with the team. Their Rhine was separated from their Lucio in their group. So I'm wondering, how are they going to get away with this?
Absolutely
What
so,
are they
and now
gonna
they have
do?
to fight against that Amp Matrix. Pushing pedal to the metal here is Navarro. Not even having people onto the site, they're just pushing forward. And Hawking, they have ultimates available, but they didn't choose to use it. Navarro expending theirs to ensure that Hawking have a difficult time even leaving their respawn platform.
Oh, back to the spawn you go. Right now, you're not really in a rush yet. It's only about 45 to 50. You got a pretty good ult bank if you're the Hawks here. The Bulldogs, you're building them, but you don't have anything quite yet. Maybe Lucio here, if you can get that 2%, you're probably going to get it.
Yeah, and I think Hocking's game plan here is, like you said, they do want to stick together. There's going to be the ultimate coming out for the Orisa. You do still have the Transcendence available, Tactical Visor used to see if they can snipe out anybody from the other side of the map, but not too much avail here as the Reinhardt getting really low on the side of Navarro. They are still holding on, 2 members down for now. Cassidy has fallen for a while already, and now Hocking with the 2-3-man advantage. Actually, a beautiful clean wipe there. And they have control of the point once again.
I do want to make a mention here. If you notice, the Hawks only used 2 ults there, and they barely made any point presence at the start. They first got 2 picks, and from there, they started to encroach the point, and then turn it into theirs.
Absolutely right. Transcendence still available, so if the hard engage happens, but there's the shatter, like you're mentioning. Not too much effect coming out here. The soldier actually does stay alive. Junkrat does fall down though. There's going to be the Sigma ult coming out as well. Navarro expending as much as they can. There's the Deadeye to capitalize on the other DPS on the other side. And now Hocking with numbers disadvantage. They are going to have to fall back once again. And with the point taken to Navarro, it does look like one team fight here at the end is going to decide who gets the point here.
So, if you're the Bulldogs here, you want to win this point, you got to keep the space. And it looks like they're doing just that. They have about 10% left to do, to hold. Therefore, if they can do that, then it's all theirs. Tire gets destroyed by those turrets. You got to watch out for those when you send them in. Tire's very weak.
Absolutely right. There's going to be the amplification matrix once again, trying to amplify up that damage with the Tactical Visor as well. Getting a really good angle is Seismic out here, taking down another, make it 3, and that's going to be the point switching over. And I don't think Navarro is going to be able to capture it back. And there it is, first point going to Hocking.
So, my piece of advice I would say for the Bulldogs is if you're going to run rush here, especially against double shield spam, you can't sit back. That was one of their biggest mistakes when you saw the Hawks use their bongo and visor to capture that point. They just sat back behind a corner and didn't have any presence. And because they were getting picked off slowly, the Bulldogs were just animals trapped in a corner with nowhere to go.
Absolutely right. The time bot, I mean, even we saw it, the Junkrat didn't have very effective ults, but it wasn't really necessary. I think you can kind of just meme about it and call it the zoning ultimate, but the Hawks, they were able to capture the point once again, and I feel like this was a lot of back and forth. And not really a lot of decisiveness when in terms of holding a point. We're gonna see if either side, as a matter of fact, improve that heading in. But Navarro, with the presidential escort going in as a group, they are going to have control of this point immediately, but only for a while for the time being, still being captured. But we see Seismic once again firing on all cylinders here. A little bit of a DPS exchange coming out from the right side.
So this is the one exception because it's the lighthouse here. The point is where you want to be. It's where you want to take cover. You don't have to rush out unless you see a target that can go. Best bet is to stay back, build the window. It seems Sully gets a double here. The Hawks are wiping them out.
Absolutely right. I mean, staying in Lighthouse is really good because you don't have a lot of points to cover, but there's so much AoE on the side of Hocking, and it's so easy to just spread out the damage because you're in such an enclosed area, right? And so with that, Hocking able to break through the defenses, and like you said, they don't have to step out if they don't want to. They can defend from the Lighthouse, but Navarro trying to see if they can do anything about it. But
no.
Sigma with a beautiful ultimate actually captures, I believe, 3 members of Navarro, the Bulldogs, and now they're coming from the right side.
Nope, that was an Orisa pull.
Oh.
You see the tire come in here and see if they can find anybody. They get the Lucio. And the point turns back over to the Bulldogs.
getting the
It's just what they need. Any little percentage they can gain is all the more.
Absolutely right. You want to keep it as even as possible if you're trying to, let's say, mitigate as much damage possible, but another Amp Matrix coming out for defense. And I feel like Lucio, actually a really good angle here. If you're able to catch anybody in the back of the lighthouse, you can just boop them off very simply. You know, not having to worry about health bar if they're just simply taken off the map. But once again, Hocking put on the offense here. Seismic taken really, really low there.
They are. If you are the Bulldogs right now, you actually want to try to get some space here because you are losing people. Now you gotta stay back. You lost both viewers. They're just playing to get as much percentage as you can.
Finding out the percentage, and there's that bongo that you were referencing. Keeping a lot of people healthy. Still Shatter available as the last line of defense if needed, but both DPSs down for Navarro. And there's going to be that Shatter utility gone now with the Reinhardt falling, and another swing back towards the Hawks.
I do like how back and forth this game is being. You don't see one side being more dominant than the other. However, I do feel that this double shield is being a lot more successful than the rush. They just seem a little discoordinated.
Indeed, a lot of ultimates in the bank here for Navarro. Let's see if they choose to use it. I believe Transcendence being used by the Hawks to keep everybody alive. Tactical visor from the high ground, trying to see if they can get anything there. But the Symmetra ultimate cuts the lighthouse in half. Really good for Navarro for the time being. Shatter's still available, but the Riptire with the flank, trying to hop on the other side of the Symmetra ult, but the Deadeye capturing two people on the side of Navarro. They are wiping Hocking right out of the lighthouse, and they will be able to maintain it. The overtime is ticking, but they are going to secure the point. That's 1-1 so far on map number 1.
Actually, that was a great play there. So what if you saw the Bulldogs became very disciplined with their ults. They used the sim wall just for basic protection and tried to stall it as much time as possible until the overtime. From there, they let their ults rip. They just laid into the Hawks and tried to make sure that they secured the kills one at a time while staying alive themselves.
Absolutely. So really good usage of ults. They waited. They knew they had the point. They just had to play defense, like you said, stall it out, and the point secured for them. Now 1-1. We're tied up, and I'm actually really curious to ask because I've been noticing that we're not seeing a lot of heroes being swapped in between the map stages. Is that rather normal per se?
Sometimes it is. You see that when you have very confident picks from your players. Other times it's you see people swap just to counter. In this case, we are on the well, so the plan for both teams is to try to hunker down, play bunker style, essentially, as the comp implies. The only difference here is that the Bulldogs are playing for hooks, so the Orisa will pull, and then the Hog will hook off it, while the Hawks are playing for pull rocks. Exact same thing, just for rock.
Makes sense, and obviously using the environmental damage with the well being in the middle, the hook champions, or the hook heroes I should say, very prevalent in this situation as a lot of skirmishing back and forth right now, just really grinding ultimates, but the Lucio caught out of left field there.
I think what they need to do here is they're really just, you need to regroup right now. They're going down one by one and staggering themselves. And the Hawks already have control of the points. So what they need to do is regroup, come up with a game plan. It looks like that game plan might involve rush.
It might, absolutely so. We are seeing the tanks switching out. There's the Reinhardt, there's the Zarya.
I might have wanted to see that Hog stay though. Just because they were so close to ult.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And speaking of that ultimate advantage, a lot of ultimates in the bank for the Hawks right now. Both tanks, both DPSs. You can see two of them being used already, trying to see if they can grab the edge and hold on to site from a distance. Able to take down the Cassidy is the soldier, and now DPS advantage. In fact, a huge team advantage. And there's that stagger once again. Maybe the hero swap wasn't really worth it there.
Well, so the mistake there was the Reinhardt went in alone towards the backline, and the Lucio abandoned him. at least from what I could see. They all stick together because that's what you do with Rush. You stick together like you're pretty much a death ball. You gotta move together, you gotta shoot things together, you go after the same target. You close the distance on double shield, which likes to keep the distance. Target's eliminated real quick. You do see the Flux go in, you get a pick on the Lucio and the Free, the Reaper, the Zarya. That leaves just Ryan and Bat have to fend for themselves. There goes the Ryan, there goes the Bat.
That's gonna be it. There's going to be that team wipe jumping into the well for victory. But yeah, we were talking about how close this series was on map number 1, and Hocking blew it right out of the water with a 100-0 capture.
Play of the game.
There, and here we have Seismic. I didn't make mention of it, but I snoozed on it a little, but Seismic built up a visor almost every fight.
Oh yeah.
Which is very hard to do as DPS. Typically you might see maybe a dominant Reinhardt do that. Even the Sig had his ultimate just after the first fight on Lighthouse.
Makes sense. I mean, the name of the game for the DPS is to farm up that ultimate charge. So when it comes to consequent team fights, you do have that edge. And I feel like for Navarro, they kind of just tried to swap up their strategies a little bit too much within the span of one map. But we will be cutting it to a little bit of a short break. We will bring you map number 2 in just a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to map number 2 between Hocking College and Navarro College. I am Henry, Sami Nami to my side, and what an interesting map number 1 that was. It felt really, really even for the first 2 points, and then Hocking kind of just blew it out of the water there.
Oh yeah, they did. Now I'm real curious how we're gonna see this play come about, because we're gonna go to King's Row, the good old OG of Overwatch. Everyone loves it.
Oh yeah, I feel like from my experience watching King's Row, the main hurdle is trying to capture that that first point. I feel like after that, it's a matter of just escorting, and that part isn't too necessarily bad as long as you're watching out for all the potential flanks. But I feel like getting through that initial hurdle of capturing the point is going to be the main takeaway that we see from this map.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's actually not. In many competitive games, you will see first point either get full held or will be lost quickly. Rarely is it a hard-fought battle from time to time. The hardest parts out of the entire map typically is third point, because now you're dealing with high ground. Prior, you don't really have much high ground to fight against or with. First and second point, there's the small ledges and windows, sure.
Right.
And not a true high ground that you have to maneuver around that leaves you exposed from above.
All right. I mean, well, capturing that initial point, you do see right here a lot of those buildings, a lot of that high ground as well. So we can kind of see the resemblance between that third capture and this initial point. But we do see actually that Ashe starting out for Hocking, trying to see if any cheese coming out from that top side. I know that Widow cheese very infamous here on King's Row.
Well, Widow has a great time with the line of sight because of the long distance. You see Brawl versus Double Shield again, but Brawl typically favors King's Row. Like that, we already see a tick come up. The wall comes out from the Mei, from the Bulldogs. They try to maneuver around it, but there's no picks being made right now. In fact, Sully gets killed by being isolated and going in way too deep.
Yeah, I think that Mei wall provided that protection needed, and now Navarro, like you said, pushing the aggression, a little bit of congestion left, but actually Navarro with a disadvantage here, having 1 DPS down, but they are able to finish off the point. And like you said, it was either a hold for the rest of the timer or just an immediate take, and there's that immediate take you were calling.
Yeah, so Junkrat's actually, he can be real good here, but it seems he's not going to try to risk playing the spam game against this team. Sometimes you'll see Junkrats hang out on the high ground behind the enemy, because what you do in this comp, keep people up, leave 1 to 2 people on cart to keep the cart moving while you keep the pressure. It's like plotting a blood wound for second points.
sense indeed, and we are starting to see a little bit of congestion. They actually gave up the entire first ticker, but there's going to be the Bob summon. Actually, from an interesting flank angle all the way in the back. I don't know if Navarro are aware of it, but there's the Ash getting jumped on by the Diva. Does pull back though, as both DPSs are there. The Blizzard, but with the invulnerability, actually plays out in favor of Navarro there, as they are able to wipe out Hocking for the time being.
Yeah, with Navarro, it's like I said here, Brawl is a lot better. It's just, you could say it's just better overall on this map, because you don't have to deal with long angles all the time. You don't have to deal with drawn out distances. It's a lot more close quarters, which favors Brawl. You like to get in their face, and Double Shield does not like that in comparison.
A lot of ultimates being expended in this exchange. Like you said, third point, the hardest really to escort through, but just shy of 6 minutes in that time bank. Gonna see what they're able to do with it. A lot of ultimates used on the sides of both DPSs. There's going to be the Dragon Strike as well to dissuade Navarro, but all still very, very healthy for the time being. There's that Flux coming out, capturing the front line as a matter of fact, but Navarro's Cassidy caught out in the distance.
Yes, well, at this point, if you are the Bulldogs, this is beautiful. This is exactly what you want. You force them off the Orisa. They still are Double Shield, but now they are Rhyme. They are a mix of Brawl. They don't stand back as much anymore, because their tanks cannot get that value. Sigma can stay the middle ground kind of guy, but you need to hold a front line. And having to fight against a Mei is very hard, because that wall will separate you.
There's the immortality, keeping alive this Hanzo. Big Shatter, like you were mentioning. Navarro actually just wiping out. They're going straight into the battle, taking out the members of Hocking one by one, and a lot of time left. 4 minutes. And they finished the first round. Time to spare.
Score 0-3. Switching.
I'm a little overwhelmed. That was really, really fast.
Yeah, that's sometimes like the tempo of it. It could either be really drawn out, really long, hard fought battle, or it could be real quick and done in a flash, just like that.
We kind of saw that latter. As a matter of fact, I mean, I saw Navarro swapping to that Winston for that last fight. I feel like we didn't even get to see too much of it, and so maybe they get to reuse that a little bit in this second half. Hocking, they've got something to prove now themselves. 4 minutes is a pretty strong finish, I would say so myself, but again, getting through that initial hurdle, trying to see if they can just topple this point and start the escort.
Indeed. Now, if you're Hawkins here, you are now trying to attack this point. And Double Shield's hard to force here, even if you have the spam, because they don't have to play the point. What you will see a lot of Brawl kind of comps do is they'll sit back, especially against spam, and, well,
5, 4,
educationally, if they're smart about it, they will rotate through the hotel into the back line of Hocking and catch them by surprise. Because then they catch them off guard and the spam is split. They don't know where to receive it from.
Seismic with a little excellent pocket of vision there, right over the little gate, trying to see if you can get anything shy of the shield, but Hocking looking to play with that high ground advantage right now is Navarro, trying to make good defense here. Lots of shielding coming around, but there's going to be the tank jumping down and the Orisa immediately falling for Hocking.
So that was actually not the play you want to go if you're Hawking. If you are going to take that high ground, you can't just sit there. You gotta move. You're either going into them or you're going up those stairs. You see Seismic getting the nice headshot on Froggy there.
Yeah, using a lot of that elevation gain, that high ground, just jumping around really. Ooh, good headshot there. And there's going to be the Dragon Strike. Very, very beautiful. Forces everybody to the right side into T-Bones' hands, and that's going to be 2 falling both frontline, both tanks already down, and I believe that's going to be a capture for Hocking.
Yes, but I don't think it was as fast as the Bulldogs here.
No.
It was good time, but it's not going to be the same.
Yes, but having it captured is always that first step. You love to see if you're on the side of Hocking now. I remember Hocking, they didn't defend even the first half of this too well, but the Coalescence pushing all of Hocking back, making sure that this is not getting escorted any further than that choke point. Very infamous choke point on King's Row, and now Navarro with the man disadvantage. There's going to be a charge in from the Reinhardt. Seismic jumping around, see if he can get anything done. Very close to that ultimate though, but Sigma with the Flux once again. Shield to dissuade any more damage, but with a numbers advantage for Hocking, they are pressing forward.
So I think the biggest mistake here that Bulldogs made, yes, it's not great that you lost the player, but you do not want to all peel for that player because you held the choke point there. That archway is a huge choke point that's almost insurpassable if you hold that down. And it's all in favor for Brawl. Seismic, another headshot, beautifully placed. The Dragon Strike comes in again.
Yeah, beautiful timing on that Dragon Strike. Already at disadvantages on the side of Navarro, but they are trying to hold out to the best of their abilities. Not too much here, but the Coalescence coming out again for Shadow. Seeing if they can do any more damage than this. Is pushing the members of Hocking back, and now they will have to regroup. They do not want to stagger the death timers here, especially when you're getting so close to that second capture.
Watch out for that skill orb. That little orb of death coming your way. That's one of the scariest things that comes at you. Because you know it's coming, and you hate to be near it.
Right, Deadeye here, blocked by the Cassidy. Doesn't get too much done, I believe. A lot of people hiding behind terrain. So nothing much, but the cargo is going to be pushed back already, as a matter of fact.
Bulldogs actually stand their ground. I'm waiting to see. Oh, Junkrat! I wanted to see that tire. Great chances to use it. That could have turned the tide here.
Yeah, and if Navarro, if the Bulldogs, if they're able to hold at this arch, this choke point that you were talking about, it gets really, really hard to go back to your payload. And if that's the case, then it's just going to keep coming back until it hits this arc. But there's that tire that you were talking about on a really good flank angle, but there's going to be the sound barrier, I believe. Bongos, like you say, going to keep everyone at a very healthy amount of HP. There's going to be the missile barrage. Farah finds one, finds two before taken down, but you've done your job. Both healers now off the cards for the Hawks.
So the biggest thing that Bongos provide for the team. Oh, we do see a martyr kill on the Lucio. That is quite unfortunate, because he pretty much walked into that one. So the Bongos here actually hold that thought. We might see a shatter. I'm real excited. Oh, we're going to see it.
We're going to see that Hanzo coming out. Flux does pull up two people. There is Hocking getting that numbers advantage once again, but still have a lot of ultimates to their name. Still both supports having their ultis available. Is going to be able to press forward, and like you said, not going to be in the swift fashion that Navarro was able to do it, but you definitely want to be able to close out here, having more than just 1 minute to work with if you capture that third checkpoint. Very, very good if you want to win this map. But so, Navarro, they are being pushed back.
Yeah, they are. So double shield works a little better here. Unfortunate to see Froggy get picked off another headshot. They're trying to protect the high noon, see who they can find. Finds no one, and this Hanzo now takes high ground. Positionally an advantageous spot to be in.
Absolutely right. I mean, the Coalescence didn't even touch the even touch Seismic, and the Dragon Strike, a really good angle around the corner there, taking them down. Now staggering the death timers, as you can see. Has to fall back, has to recuperate, and Just shy of 2 minutes left, not far, 20 meters left to go for Hocking. 6-man strong, they do still have both support ultimates available. It's going to be one last stand here for Navarro.
Unfortunate, Orisa. You gotta just have people on. Maybe the Bash can do something, but gets picked off by Sully. Sully gets 2, balls back. Was the Reinhardt. They're trying to just knock someone off. Just try to stall as much as possible. Get much of that time run down as they can.
Everybody's just running in, making sure that it doesn't register, doesn't move forward, that it's continuously being contested, but that Tact Visor just nails down the squishy characters, and that's a minute 20 left for Hocking. So we are going to be continuing here on King's Row, but I think now both sides have a little bit of an idea of what to expect from each other, and with such a disparity in time left, this is going to be a very interesting second half here.
So we're going to see that Navarro, the Bulldogs, who will be defending first because they have a bigger time bank than the Hawks. I do want to point out, though, Seismic clutched up that 3rd point push. Like,
oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen Hanzo go in, go out, and continuously get picks on his own.
Those were some magnetic arrows, to say the least. Heat-seeking, if you will.
Almost every other one was a headshot. It was amazing.
I mean,
That is
Froggy,
the kind of...
you could make the argument that Froggy was just not in the right place at the right time, just constantly found out by Seismic. I believe that was like 2, maybe even 3 times in a row.
Sure, but alone, oh my goodness, Seismic was able to do quite a lot of work. So, if you're Hawkins here, you want to try to make your stand. If you're trying to use this double shield, your spam has to really get someone. You got to use your pulls and focus down the target together. Your Bulldogs, bait them in. Let them come in one at a time. Use that May wall to separate them and take them out one by one. That's the game plan for both teams.
It's the game plan for both teams. We're going to have to see if they are able to execute on it. An interesting May wall here does dissuade the Hanzo, but can just climb up. So does Seismic here.
If you remember, I advised against this. They separated themselves. They got walled off. And now they're getting picked off one by one.
This is exactly what we didn't want to see. Reinhardt with a pin does take down the Orisa, and now 40 seconds left. Remember, if you're Hocking, you don't have a lot of time left. A lot less as compared to your opponent here. To stagger these death counters, it's not going to look good, but they are able to take down the Mei, they are able to take down the Diva, as well as the Reinhardt, so both tanks down, and now it's going to be a lot tougher to hold the ground, and there's going to be the staggering timers on Navarro's side instead, and Seismic out for blood, just chasing anybody trying to run away, and 12 seconds does mean that they are going to start escorting this payload forward.
Yeah, Seismic looking to see who else he can pick off. The Bulldogs, both their supports got picked off last, and they are in long spawn. They are so far away. You only have the DPS and the tanks in the front line, and they are hurt bad. We need to get around that corner, try to regroup, try to plan again, because right now Hawks, they only got a window to work with. On the same side with the Bulldogs, but they have more ults coming out than the Hawks, so if they play this right, they can wipe them out all in just one fight here.
Seismic did use that Dragon Strike in the previous fight in order to capture the point, so he is trying to farm that ultimate, but beautiful Blizzard coming out from Brandon. The Amp Matrix doesn't keep much alive, in fact a lot of just being frozen there in the spot, but Seismic able to take it but not able to get back to the payload in time, and 60 meters is all Hocking are going to get.
Yep. It's just as I said, all they needed was to regroup, and May ult is one of the most infuriating ults to have to deal with in overtime, because once the majority of you get frozen, you can't move. And from there, it's just picking people off one by one. It's focusing target call, and that's exactly what Brawl wants.
That's exactly what Brawl got. Now, Navarro, they know what they have to do. Capture the payload, move it more than 60 meters. There it is. That's their goal. If they're able to do it, they tie up the series 1-1. They have plenty of time as compared to Hocking, so a lot more room for error, but sooner you can get that payload under wraps, the better for them. Another
So
Winston.
yeah, I don't think that's sticking around though. So on King's Row specifically, you'll see tanks go to these dive tanks just to sit up in that top window right there to take a look at what they can see from that angle. Who can they see around the corners? From there, they may just swap back to Brawl. If they truly run dive, it's not very common, but yep, just about as I expected. We
Yep,
do
there's
see the
that right.
Pharah come out. I'm a little concerned about the Pharah. It's a good pick, but Seismic's a good Hanzo.
The heat seeking does apply. Oh, there it is!
And there it is!
Absolutely right. The headshot, just as you said, Seismic on a different level with the DPS here on the side of Navarro. Immediately takes them down and taking the other Hanzo to a very critical health condition here. Looks like it's going to be moving fast, and there's that duel once again, Hanzo versus that Pharah, and the 100-0 once again from Seismic. Just the Seismic show for the time being, but as the rest of the team comes out, they are trying to hold the point. Navarro pushing it on, trying to capture. They already have 2 ticks of it. Hocking, they have to hold here, otherwise it's not going to be looking good for them. Mech does take out 1, and they are able to shift the team fight in their favor. It's only going to be the 2 ticks for now, but 3 minutes left. It's going to be a long ways away.
And honestly, this is fine if you're the Bulldogs. You got 2 ticks out of them. You even made them use tire, window. That's great for you. You get to see a Dragon Strike come in right away. Is it going to find anyone? He finds one person. Liner finds the Zen. And the Hanzo, oh, the return from Seismic gets 2 kills, both the tanks. Now we got to see, can the Bulldogs take this point? It's just Hanzo and Bath here. Defending. Even at just the Hanzo.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Seismic plays really aggressively despite, you know, where the rest of the team may be, and these Dragon Strikes coming out from him. I noticed he forces Navarro into a situation where you have to stay onto the critical areas to fight it out, or you're just going to get zoned out by the ultimate, and Navarro choosing to fight. He lost it there. The payload now starting to move. It's already halfway to 60, and like you're saying, very accurate reaction to Navarro, wiping out 1 of each on the side of Hocking, and now the payload's still moving though, coming to exactly where it needs to be. I don't think anybody's gonna touch it in time.
No, it cannot. Bulldogs played this perfectly for Brawl. Like, this is textbook. You kept the space, you kept them game staggered, and you just are rolling through second point easily. Here's the shatter I was loving to see. Beautiful. What a beautiful shatter. Gets so much value, makes so much space. Doesn't always have to be about the kills, it's about the impact it makes.
Absolutely right, and that third capture you were talking about it, very, very critical. Having a shatter at that moment, that close to the end goal, that's exactly what you'd like to see. So props to Navarro. They tie up the series 1-1. So we are going to be going to a map 3, obviously, but we are going to cut to a short little break to get that ready for you guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For those of you just tuning in, we have a 1-1 series on our hands, and it has been very, very exciting, very back and forth so far.
Indeed, it has. You know, I felt like the Hawks would have been a little more dominant after seeing Ilios, but as soon as I heard King's Row, I was like, yeah, the Bulldogs are probably going to have a good time here.
All right,
they weren't dominated on the first map.
Oh yeah.
But they really showed their worth on the second. But now we're on the third map, which is Volskaya 2CP, the most dreaded mode to all Overwatchers. Oh goodness.
So I've heard.
So with this mode, you're pretty much playing with 2 control points. And it's a pain to get either one. Pretty much imagine King's Row first points twice.
I'm gonna leave it to imagination, and I will let you be the one that determines how painful it is. You can take the full brunt for both of us. But yeah, Hocking starting off with the defending side here. So a little bit of a change going on, but I mean, still the same heroes we've been seeing pretty much the whole map, or the whole series, I should say. Nothing really different, but Seismic's Hanzo from last map definitely a little something that echoes in Navarro's brain here.
Does. Oh, he's back on the hit scan, being Soldier 76 as we saw with the first map. And with Volskaya, Double Shield's actually really good for this map because it's all about keeping the distance, keeping high ground, maintaining your space. With Brawl here, you gotta loop around, you gotta hide behind corners, you gotta move as a unit. In fact, they split off. They all dropped now, thankfully, but that could have been a spell for disaster here. They are capturing the point right now and having little resistance to the scene.
Yeah, that Mei wall kind of just blocked off the front line from being the front line, you know? And so they weren't really able to get anywhere, and kind of just using this Mei wall for utility and trying to keep everybody off the point. In fact, T-Bone, you saw that, couldn't even come close, and just like that, the first one's already captured, and that swift, fast movement that we saw in the last map carried over here.
Yeah, it looks like the Hawks have not been able to react to dealing with Brawl with Mei, the comp. As we see, they just pushed right in, gained 2 picks, 3 picks. Are we going to see any more? 4? Come on, let's see the 5th. Ah, it's so close. They're already getting the first tick. It's just the DPS left. Soldier on high ground. Junkrat jumping in, trying to see what he can do. 5.5 minutes on the board. They barely use any ults.
No resistance coming out from Hocking. They kind of just folded over, per se. I mean, using the ultimates that they were able to charge up from that first point, just blasting into the site, going fast. And I don't think I've ever seen close to 5.5 on a 2 CP.
Yeah, it is rare to come by, but the most, little brag, the most I've seen has been around in a competitive match is about 6 minutes to 6.5.
That's crazy.
That's very difficult to do because you get 3 minutes when you capture the first point. You have 4 minutes to capture the first point. So if you imagine, if you do it within a minute or less, you have 7 minutes towards second point. And it's such a long fight.
Yeah, I feel like that's the amount of time it takes for you to go from point to point, you know? You're just waltzing over, just beam up the progress, and then immediately swish to the next one. That's kind of what it felt like Navarro were doing, to be honest. And excellent utility, excellent zoning off on the side of the Bulldogs. We're gonna have to see if the Hawks are able to replicate that in their own way, but Widowmaker coming off here for Seismic, not going to be a swap, trying to see if we can snipe anybody out.
We'll see. We're looking at Dive here, and Dive can be very useful on this map, especially against Brawl, because the purpose of it is rather than playing distance, you pick your target. Who's leaving themselves out in the open? Who's now with the group? You see that Bulldogs Ryan gets 2 picks to start. Seismic does get the pick on Lucio, but it's as a Widow, that's not enough. I think we might want to see him go back over to this bomb zone. He wants to really get a push here.
I think so too. I mean, the Mei wall just blocks all line of sight for the Widow, and then Seismic's not able to make much of it. And if you're not with your team, you know, that is another man down just like that. So Hocking now gonna have to recuperate. They're actually, I believe, not gonna be switching off that Widow. Probably wants value from the ultimate, perhaps, but
yeah, the most you get to see is the walls, like a thermal vision.
Yeah, and they're going to be trying to push in, but it's not going to be without punishment as both healers already down here. Monkey Winston looking to fall as well to the Coalescence.
Now the Bulldogs here.
Yeah, they're super healthy. They've got a lot of ultimates ready.
Yeah, and honestly, At first, when I saw the coalescence, I was like, I think that might be a bit overkill. But you still have 4 ults. If you tempo properly, you're just fine. No worries. If you're Hawks, though, you only have maybe Nano coming up. You guys have been swapping a lot. You haven't really been building tank ults, DPS ults, nothing. You gotta find something here.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, I've heard about a nano to Winston. Winston actually to be taken really, really low right now in critical health and now has fallen. Hocking just not able to capture much, but it was not without bloodshed on the other side as well. Navarro taking hits, losing half of their team. These May walls by Brandon are just so good at blocking off Seismic from reaching their full potential, but the D.Va trying to get a little cheeky bit of that point capture, not going to succeed there, but now that's another staggered death timer.
Yep, and their tanks have swapped again. We're looking at bunker style, a pulled forward combo, as it's called. If you still have your nano, you're getting close to the dragon. I'd say try to build that dragon here and combo with the Orisa pull.
They're able to do that, it will be very, very good. It's just really hard because the DPSs are just getting blocked off. Dragon Strike forces the zone away. Brandon with the May Blizzard blocking off the entrance. Another beautiful choke point hold coming out for Navarro. Both killers already down. Pulse Bomb not going to connect onto anybody from T-Bone. Not looking good. 30 seconds left on the clock here. If you don't even capture this point, it's no question. And Navarro are going to secure this map. They'll be taken very, very low for the time being. Kind of surrounded in a sense. Is not going to be taken down for the time being, but Voice pushing forward. Seismic kind of just stuck here in the back. Hanzo v Hanzo duel. Kind of just buying time, but I mean, he wins out the duel, but the rest of his team already fallen, and 4 seconds left. Is the ball going to make it? Tracer trying to dash in, but it's not going to mean anything, and Navarro take another map to themselves. This one in a lot faster speed.
Say it's a very dominant showing. And here we see the Reinhardt once again. This Reinhardt here actually was a very big driving force throughout this entire defense. It looks like he had full command of his team. Everyone was with him, everyone stayed with him. It looked like they were listening to him and followed up with everything he did. If he said, I'm going in, they're like, we're with you. If I'm backing out, we'll get you out of there. Like, they were a unit.
Yep, and playing together was the name of the game there for the Bulldogs. They were able to move as a unit, capture those first 2 points in swift fashion, but also hold those choke points. They knew where the Hawks were going to come from. They played front to back in a sense, and they were able to hold off. And map number 3 will go to them. So it is going to be now match point for Navarro. Let's see if they're able to close it out, but we will bring you game 4 in just a moment. So stay with us. All right, everybody, welcome back to what could potentially be the final map between these two colleges here, Hocking and Navarro. Navarro putting on a clinic absolutely on Volsky in that last map, and I think that was a very big outlier from what we saw in the first 2 maps, but I'm very interested to see what they're going to try to do to close out the series.
Well, the map we have here going into this is an escort, and they have chosen Havana. It's nice sunny days, colorful buildings, factory you get to go into. Let's see all those aisles and everything. But it's definitely different play styles with each part of the map. First part, very in favor of snipers, long range, because there's so much distance to cover. Second point, you got a lot more close range. Got a lot of high ground and low ground as well. And third point, just dreadful. If not second point being dreadful, because again, it favors the long distance again.
Absolutely right. I mean, inside the factory, you could play around the environment. I have seen like Sniper's Nest-esque type of stuff coming out from Widowmakers and Hanzos, you know, at the top of those, I guess, tube things, right? But we are gonna have to see how it plays out. It is this first checkpoint that you do have to go through. I've heard about the absolute pain that this one street, this one aisle of an area can bring.
Attackers incoming.
It can. We do see double shield again. Nothing's being swapped on either side practically. We see the same people, same composition. Brawl.
Oh my god!
They were not ready for that. That was a lucky shot.
I was not ready for that. That was absolutely insane. Both healers down right off the bat for Navarro. And I mean, we were talking about it. Pushing offensively on this first area is one of the hardest parts about this map. And Seismic taking names left and right here. Truly,
You got the first 4 kills.
yeah, truly a pocket pick per se.
Yes, indeed. Now we do see that he's already at Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
No one else has an ult except for Junkrat having his come up. That's really good at Hanzo. You definitely want to have your ult. Whereas you can just let it rip like it's just a cooldown. As we see right here, finds a pick already on Lucio.
Reading Navarro really, really well, knowing that they're going to be pushed up around that part, making excellent use of that Dragon Strike.
Uh-oh, here we go. Let's see it.
Is there patent pending tire? Doesn't really get too
no.
much done, but the missile barrage from the Diva does take down T-Bone. So another DPS staggered once again. A headshot there for the Hanzo, but he is found out in his little area. Almost at the first checkpoint already. It's going to come down to this Coalescence being used. Let's see if we can get any value. It does take down the Zen. A lot of people at critical health. There's going to be the Flux getting massive value onto Navarro, trying to even it out. It is going to be members of Hocking falling though, but so is Navarro. And another beautiful arrow coming out from Seismic. He already has Dragon again.
Yep. It's a cooldown. For Seismic, his ultimate's a cooldown. It is not an ultimate.
It is a short cooldown too. I mean, it is practically up every team fight. And we were talking about it. It's pretty impressive for DPSs to have their ulti up approximately every team fight. And the fact that Seismic is doing it rather casually, per se, is actually pretty impressive. But the counter Dragon Strike catches him off guard and actually catches out 3 people with it. And that's got to be a really good stagger here. But other DPS T-Bone trying to make use of what he can, does get taken down though by the Diva. That is going to be that first checkpoint captured by Navarro.
So here's the thing for Hawks. You got Bongos, you got Tigers, you got both support ones. Against the Bulldogs, which if you're tracking the ultimates, they only have 2 to work with. You have the ult economy here against them. You don't have to use everything. In fact, you know the majority of them are already at the top right. They're starting to push you. We see the bomb going in. Gets the Junkrat. Tanks take out one of their supports. Another tank going down on the side of the Hawks. But the good news is that next to Seismic, the card has been stalled momentarily. That's what you need.
And we've kind of been seeing this little bit of hesitancy, I would say, on the side of Hocking College. I mean, we've seen it in the previous maps as well, where they would have 3, 4, even 5 ultimates available, and they either just get caught out before they can use it, or they try to take a team fight without utilizing what they have, and that gives Navarro a chance to equalize on that ultimate bank. But they do still have the advantage here. Dragon Strike being used again by Seismic. Doesn't take down anybody with that, but really good pressing forward coming out from Navarro. 5 already down. Transcendence used to just stay alive as the Zen, but it's not going to be for much longer, I would say. They're pushing very forward. That second point easily toppled over, and now comes down to this final stand here for Hocking.
Yeah, it does. So we do see Seismic on the Widow. I'm not sure if they're going to stay it. Looks like they will. Widows are pretty dominant on defense here for the third part of the map. But Bulldogs, they already have the space. They're taking cover as they need. They even sent the Diva to make sure the Widow doesn't get any value on that high ground.
Yeah, excellent read there by the Diva, knowing exactly where Seismic is gonna be. Ooh, does get triggered by the Venom Bite, lives with 7 HP. That is actually pretty critical here. You do want to stay alive at this part of the game. If you lose a DPS here, it could be the beginning of something very bad in terms of the staggering. And as I say that, little bit of a caster curse possibly onto Vicky there.
Yeah, just a little, but the Bulldogs, they're still doing all right. If the Hawks are not careful, I think the Hawks definitely want to ult here early, because we're going to see a lot of ults coming out of these Bulldogs here real quick. They're going to get their picks.
Yeah, they want to try to push past any choke points here. Once you get past the bridge, is very good. The Diva Detonate actually catches out 2 people on the side of Hocking. Everybody else just toppling like dominoes after, and now Seismic, buddy, you have to stay alive here. If you fall, that's going to be a 5v6 to hold it. Last 10 meters approximately, there's going to be the Flux, takes down the enemy. Hanzo does Sully. Amp Matrix used as a home defense with the high ground available, but the Blizzard in the middle of this area just takes down and zones out and splits apart Hocking, and that's potentially the final nail in the coffin. There it is, minute 50 left in the bank as the 3-0 first round for Navarro.
Yep. Hocking, I gotta be honest with you. Your double shield's not getting the value you want here. That's what's the frustrating part here. It might be that your double shield is your bread and butter, so you're falling back on it. That is what you're relying on the most. But you can't continue to use it. What you have to do here, if you're Hocking college, is that you need to either get rid of that Mei or somehow slow them down, because the Mei is getting way too much value with their walls on you.
I completely agree. We've seen during Volskaya how much impact a simple ability can do in terms of hindering pathways, but also hindering line of sights. And you know, we're back in this position now. Hocking have to be on the offensive, and it looks like they're gonna try the Mei out for themselves here. We did see the little bit of tech, you know, putting the Mei wall onto the payload, moving with you, so then that prevents a little bit of that damage coming out, but still could have potential damage coming out from the sides. We're gonna have to see how it plays out. Both DPSs now mirrored on both sides.
So with this kind of comp, what I was expecting to see, and they're not doing, is they're not rushing them out from the gate now. Oh boy, you're giving up a lot of space if you're playing Brawl like this. That's a dangerous game to play.
Flank here. Very dangerous, like you said. I don't think they're too worried about him yet. I think they're more worried about the fact that this payload, like you said, gave up so much space, now already so far up. There's going to be the Fire Strike taking down the opposite Reinhardt. Navarro winning out that little fight. Seismic still on the side. Again, just keeping the payload where it is for the time being.
The fact that it looks like they're trying to push them, but they were able to get over that wall, so they have to back up around the corner. If they were to push that, someone might have lost their life. Now here we go. No one has ults on either side, except for maybe Shadow on the side of the Bulldogs having to come up. Just have to see who's going to get more value out of their line here.
This is already being used, trying to solve out this choke point issue here. I believe that's going to be the Blizzard as well, coming down for Brandon.
Yeah, it is. You do see that Seismic was able to pick off Froggy there, and I'm not sure. I thought the Bulldogs Hanzo got picked up. It might be wrong. Both of them have their ultimates. There's more ult economy on the side of the Hogs. We do see the Blizzard come out. Ults are being thrown in left and right on both sides. First one to go down is the Hawks Lucio.
Lucio does go down, and you hate to see that, especially because you expended both DPS ults to try to move forward. Coalescence down now as well for the Moira. And so your ultimate's all expended. There's going to be the self-destruct, I believe, though. Actually, no, that was the remake. That's on me. That's actually the remake right there. But Shadow here using the ultimate of his own here, trying to push back Hocking, is going to be successful. Takes down Seismic, kind of just hones in on him. And there it is, Payload being pushed back once again. And there's the struggle that we're seeing, trying to get past this alleyway on Havana.
Yeah, it's all about that long distance. It's hard to close the distance and without taking too much damage. So here, you got the autonomy, Hawks. Now it's time to use it. Doesn't matter if you use everything, you just gotta get something going. You gotta get the picks and get that snowball rolling.
Both Diva Bombs being used at the same time. Seismic now finding those headshots once again, but Dragon Strike finds him as well. Takes down 2, as a matter of fact. Again, the numbers advantage for Navarro once again, shy of 1 minute left on the clock. Not really a lot of room for error. Brandon, as I say that, almost gets taken down there.
You see that T-Bone was able to get one of the Bulldogs eliminated. So they're going to be coming back from spawn. Here's how we're going to see this online gameplay. Because it looks like their game plan is trying to hook someone in, isolate them, and then take them out.
Yep, there's going to be the Lucio using the ult, trying to keep everybody relatively healthy, giving a lot of people breathing room with the shield Deadeye just to take down the mech, but the flashbang doesn't really connect onto anybody. It does result in the mech though, using the payload as the Dragon Strike to come out, separating the team, splitting them in half. Trying to jump onto this Mei who's in the front lines. Doesn't get the freeze out in time though. Moira now in the front, but that's going to be a big stagger so far. But you do have to keep escorting the payload. You cannot separate away from it because it is the overtime.
Yes, so it's overtime. Most of the Bulldogs have respawned at this point, so what you got to do here is pick them off one by one as they slowly come in staggering. But no one's contesting point, they get it for free! Look, they made it.
I think that Dragon Strike was kind of used to dissuade them from the payload, but like you said, no contest means it still does move forward because of the proximity. And I thought at first Navarro was just going to give up that first point, but they did expend a little bit of resources. It did result in a little bit of staggering. Seismic! That's just dirty, my guy. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I was expecting it, honestly. I already saw him going through Zone and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but every time he does it, it's still very impressive.
That is a worthwhile shatter there. Both of the Bulldogs supports are gone.
Both of them down indeed, and now staggering very, very importantly. No healers though on the side of Hocking. They are gonna just have to hold with what they have, but still pressing forward. T-Bone getting caught once again. Dragon almost up for Seismic. In fact, Mei and Hanzo are going to have their ultimates available. T-Bone has the Deadeye if needed. Does need to recuperate. Rejoin with the group first. We'll see everybody with that radar. Yup, there it is. Dragon Strike.
Looks like they're trying to put their back against fucking a hard place, but it wasn't able to get really any value. Wizard comes in as well as Coalescence on the side of the Bulldogs. They're able to get both tanks from the Hawks. They're looking to try to get Seismic here too.
And they will be able to, using that Blizzard at one of the choke points, similar to King's Row, you know, that little bit of an underpass. You either have to go above around it with that high ground or join up with the payload in. You know, Brandon figuring it out, pincering the options that Hocking has, and stuck in a similar situation. 30 seconds left on the clock. They've got to keep it on that overtime. Seismic, I believe that was a hook into an arrow, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was he hooked the Diva just like that. Didn't live to tell the tale, sadly, but surprise arrow. Right now it's a trade back and forth. I think it's in the favor of the Hawks here currently. You only see the Lucio and the Hanzo on the side of the Bulldogs. They're escaping to try to regroup with their team. Not sure this Lucio gets out. He does. He's too quick. He's too slippery.
The wall jumps.
Yes, wall riding. They need to stay on course. Looking to have a big shatter here. Has to get value. Get practically everyone.
Sound Barrier hits absolutely everybody. Does farm up enough for that dragon once again. Has to get a lot of value here. Reinhardt, though, has found out the Hanzo, forces him to not be able to push out. And so that leaves T-Bone to be the main damage dealer in this team fight. But Reinhardt does quite a bit before falling himself seismic as well. And nobody left to escort the payload. Means Navarro, they take the map, they take the series 3-1 against Hocking College.
They do. And here we go again. The Reinhardt from the Bulldogs.
Racenix has had some very impactful gameplay throughout this series.
BD has.
Shatter, oh my god. The funnel.
Yeah, it's a terrible spot to be in when against Brawl, especially a Reinhardt when he's so close to that ult.
Absolutely right. And with that, that does conclude this series 3-1. I am not too sure if we're going to have an interview, but we will cut to a break just in case. We will be right back with whatever we have after that. All right, everybody, welcome back. A very exciting conclusion to this first to 3 series we had between Hocking and Navarro. But in the end, Navarro comes victorious 3-1. We have an interview lined up for you guys with one of the players on Navarro, Froggy Toast, the Lucio player. A really good showing overall. So welcome to the desk, Froggy.
Hi.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just start off. I mean, clearly it was not an easy series. There was a lot of back and forth throughout of it. But I want to ask about map number 3 of Volskaya because that felt like a really big outlier in this first 3 series. What was going through your guys' mind when you were, approaching the map and the strategies behind it?
Honestly, we knew that most likely one of the hit scan would be at an off angle and the rest of the team would rush. And we figured if they rushed into that right side room, we just block them in, take them all out.
Makes sense, and we saw a lot of that being used with that Maywall, just absolutely neglecting other people from being in the area. Sami, I mean, do you have any questions for our guest here?
I do. So, out of curiosity, are you the main caller, the shot caller, or person that gets everyone organized?
No, our main shot caller is actually Hunter. That's Roy Senex, our main tank.
See, sometimes you'll see with the support. So I was just curious, since because you have control over when people can speed in or out.
Yeah, definitely definitely get a lot of calls. Speed, speed, speed. So gotten used to reacting as quickly as I can to those calls from Hunter.
And then one more question from me. What was your strategy with dealing with that Hanzo? Because he seemed to stick out like a sore thumb from time to time.
So we kind of with the May, we really either knew it's block off the team, go for the Hanzo, or just block off the Hanzo, take care of the team. Me personally, I can admit easily I got picked off by him several times. And so for me personally, I would say just try to stay grouped with my team so I wouldn't get headshot quite as often.
See, I'm going to pass it over back to Henry, see if he has any more questions for you.
Yeah, just one last one because we did. I mean, obviously going through the series, Hocking they did take map number 1. What did you and your team go through to, in a sense, recuperate and gather yourselves and be like, okay, we pretty much we know what we have to do to close out this series and to finish it off.
So typically by the end of the first map, we can kind of gather who on the team is the strongest. And honestly, it's very obvious that that was Seismic. And so we just knew that we would either have to avoid him or take care of him immediately. So we just spent that map kind of gathering info we learned from our mistakes on that map.
All right, and you excellent read because it ended up working out, and you guys were able to close out the last 3 maps there. So, yeah, thank you for the interview. Is there anything you want to say to the fans out there?
I just want to thank my team and my coach. Coach White is probably one of the best coaches in esports, and we're all grateful to have him. I want to thank um, all of my friends that always tune into streams and support. And lastly, I want to thank all of our haters because honestly, we wouldn't have the drive and passion for this that we have if we weren't wanting to win to prove y'all wrong. So,
All
Oh
right,
man.
love that energy coming from you. Thank you for joining us on the desk today, Froggy.
thank you for having me.
All right, and that does conclude the end of this broadcast. So, thank you guys for tuning in to watch. We've had two exciting NJCAA Overwatch matches, followed by an East Coast Conference League of Legends, and closing out with this one also from NJCAA. But, I mean, Sami, do you have anything you want to say to the audience out there?
Not too much else. Just stay safe, everyone. If you do want to see some more Overwatch, you can see me go over on my Twitch. It's pretty much the same name, Saminami. You find it, you'll get to see some main tank play.
Sounds good. And if you want to catch some of my action, I'm also on Twitter at Henryverse. But with that being said, that does do it for us. So on behalf of me, my co-caster, production, and observers, and everybody behind the scenes, thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful spring break. We'll see you guys next time.